The following video is dedicated to the two following besties and by viewers like you. Thank you. The Bad Guys is an interesting little film for me to discuss, and honestly why I made this type of video discussing it. So let's start with the animation and then work our way onward. So I love the animation to the Bad Guys. It's really interesting, but I think the interesting part is that DreamWorks' past films honestly led the Bad Guys animation to end up being what it was. From Trolls World Tour changing its art direction with the characters a bit to be a lot more cartoony in the face, body language being very much pushed, and also 2D animation techniques being used in a 3D space. So, Trolls World Tour, interesting little film that I didn't really expect to be here, like no joke, but lo and behold, it's here. Same with the Boss Baby, but actually we have to go back even further with what the crew's done before, and that's the Madagascar franchise. That franchise has honestly been pushing the Looney Tunes-esque type of style in 3D, and we've come a far way since that first Madagascar film, and well, Boss Baby 2 shows how far it's come. Even with Boss Baby 1, it's completely night and day when you look at the animation and what they were trying to push. So it's quite cool and interesting. Hell, even a film like Spirit Freewriting, that has a lot of impact too, funny enough. More so in the art direction, how the 2D art style used in the promotional material is quite on par with what the movie looks like, just in a 3D space, of course. And we can't also think just only DreamWorks. Other animation studios have also reflected on the direction for the Bad Guys, such as Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, the Hotel Transylvania franchise, and even Spider-Man No Way Home. All of those animated movies from Sony really impacted the Bad Guys. And I think the interesting thing about the Bad Guys is it's very much a movie that really involves a lot of different aspects from the animators. This movie is heavily storyboard driven. And I think that's interesting. With CGI animated movies, it's not really easy to tell who animated what unless you look at someone's portfolio or they give you a behind the scenes type of thing and says, "Hey, I animated that, look at that." But with the Bad Guys, even though I don't know who animated what, there's this touch that I could notice because this film is very dialogue heavy while also being very action heavy, while also being slapstick heavy too in that action as well. And I could tell that a lot of cooks were in this kitchen, a lot of different people's different visions very much shining throughout this animated movie. I'm honestly curious to see who animated what. On top of that, you have that one animated dance sequence scene, and that particular part in the movie, which like a lot of people don't really think about, or they're too busy hating on it because pop music is scary, but there's like choreographers like helping the animators. These are like those type of things go a long way, and I'm just like, wow, the Bad Guys is like a lot of cooks in this kitchen, and like a lot of love went into the Bad Guys. And with the end product, the fact that I can see that, it's like, it's very nice and very special, and that, for me, that warms my heart at the end of the day. Depending on my mood, sometimes I talk about the story and go into great detail. Sometimes I don't. This is going to be the time where I don't. Simply because I want my audience to think for themselves. Be your own Spector, as I love to promote. And this is one of those times where I say, at least watch teaser 1 and trailer 1. Those rest of those trailers you don't have to watch, but at least watch those two to determine whether or not you want to go watch the movie. But at the same time, in those trailers, what you see is what you get. You want the full context? Go watch the damn movie for yourself. And you know what? I'm not really mad about that. At the end of the day, I got a movie with furry Tumblr Sexy Furies at the end of the day going on a funny heist movie. And that's what I got at the end of the day. I liked these characters. I thought they were very funny and they make me want to merge while driving. And I got a good heist movie. What I saw is what I got. And I'm very happy with that end product. At the same time, I gotta give this movie a lot of credit. I brought up those other animated movies for a reason, simply because, well, they helped the bad guys' direction and what DreamWorks wanted to do, and also the talented crew behind the movie, what they were able and capable to do thanks to the footsteps and the footwork from those other animated movies. But I'll say this. When it comes down to Trolls World Tour, Boss Baby 2, and Spirit Freeriding, those movies had, well, dedicated fan bases. I'm in 2 of them. Well, Boss Baby is kind of one of those things where I'm like, I like the Madagascar crew. I ended up enjoying Boss Baby. Can't really say I'm in a Boss Baby fandom, but I can say I'm in the Trolls. I can say I'm in the Trolls fandom. But, those movies have an audience and a demographic. By the time you hit to movie 2, that happens. And Spirit Freeriding is a spin-off film based on the Netflix series. So there's a target demographic and an audience already there. So if you ended up liking that, congratulations. But because The Bad Guys is a completely original idea, based on a book after all, it's original, but it is heavily based on a book. I'll say this. DreamWorks broke out of those demographics they had in fandoms because it was something different from the studio. And because of that, this film is heavily inspired by live action PG-13 to R heist movies. It'd be a movie your uncle would randomly go, oh, so I randomly saw that new Ryan Gosling heist movie. It was great. Or your film bro cousin, if you have one of those. I'd probably be considered one of those, maybe, but I don't fall into that category perfectly. But you get what I mean, America Online. And because of that, The Bad Guys is an interesting little film because of that. And I'll say this. Because of the what you see is what you get type of storytelling that The Bad Guys has that isn't bad, what very much shines is the animation at the end of the day, the character presentation, but also the fact that this movie that's aimed at families, they really want to definitely push that age range demographic. I would say around 10 years old and up. I feel like there's going to be a lot more things that that audience will enjoy, but that's not to say that younger demographics can enjoy the story too. I typically don't hype these type of things up, but I think that's important to really bring up with The Bad Guys. This crew was heavily inspired by those type of live action movies, and you can see that very much being implemented into The Bad Guys. And let me tell you, that's not an easy task. A lot of people like myself who can come on here and talk into a void, or people who really like movies, they could hype up the fact that, oh wow, this animated movie is aimed for me, yay! More movies should do that. And, that's cool and all, but that's not an easy task. And the fact that The Bad Guys was able to be inspired by those type of live action movies that are not aimed at a family demographic, but ended up making a funny, cute, wholesome, furry Tumblr sexy people type of movie. They really knocked it out of the park. And I gotta be honest, in terms of like the bad guy's full presentation, it shows me why I root and always will go to DreamWorks. Even if I get a dud, I know that at the end of the day, that there are passionate people behind it, and that maybe if I don't get it, I'll probably find something that I'll get along the way, or find something I can appreciate that was from movies I didn't care for or movies I ended up really loving, that their history is being implemented into new feature-length animated movies by the studio. And I'm really happy that we have the bad guys. And that's it. I like the bad guys, Mr. Piranha and Mr. Shark and Mr. Wolf and Diane. They're my favorite. Can't wait for the Netflix holiday movie. I can't wait for the bad guys to steal the Bergen's holiday.